If you want to speak, just introduce yourselves, say what your interest is in the community, and the equity in the schools. And if you have a specific concern or action you'd like us to take, please say that after you've introduced yourself. And then I also ask that you please follow up with the email to me or Mike, just so we can have note of your concerns, recommendations, or anything else that we can keep on file with the committee, so we can follow up on whatever that might be. So I wrote a little something just so I don't forget. Does anybody have any questions about anything before we start? So if you don't know me, I'm Lene. I just got on the board. This is my first year. And we have been talking about some things. And, we kind of finally decided to put it together officially. So I'm glad all of you are here to join us. And if you can't hear me at any time, please just say so. I'm not sure why my mic is the way it is. So let's just have a brief statement, just so I can get all my thoughts out. Then after me, then we'll move on to Mike, and then go through the administration and the board members, and then we'll address the community members who wish to join the committee. I am pleased that the district is taking this step in convening an equity committee. It is imperative that Black, people of color, Indigenous, immigrant, LGBTQIA, neurodiverse, and all other marginalized groups have a team of people in the district advocating for them. This will be a challenging journey. The first and most important step in creating meaningful change is listening. We must listen to the concerns of these voices with an open heart and open mind. Come to this committee with the understanding that things you will hear are going to challenge social norms and comfort levels. The people that belong to these voices have been uncomfortable for centuries, and if we are to be effective in a change, lost my page, we must shift that burden off of them. I want it to be known that community members opted out of joining because there are people who express an interest who do not appear to them to have the mindset of listening to the concerns of our community voices and lack accountability it takes to move forward. This is our first failure. We did not provide a safe, comfortable environment. It is important that if you join this committee, that you are not a member of the aforementioned groups, that you must be prepared to dig deep into your own bias, which is a personal issue you can begin to bridge on your own. I also know that sometimes the first thing people want to do is share all the things they personally did right. That's wonderful, and more of that is needed. However, this cannot be a platform of showcasing goodwill. We are here to focus on things that have historically been done wrong, and how the district can change that in the future. I just want to give like one personal goal that I have. I know there are many, so I just picked one thing to highlight today, and I'm sure you guys will add to the list as we go through everyone's introductions. One thing that I would like to see is a more integrated education experience. I do not want the first thing students hear about Black people is that they were slaves. In every subject, there is an opportunity to introduce a full spectrum of diversity. Culture, race, and lifestyle do not have to be segregated into special months and holidays. I want to normalize being Black or being whomever God made you to be within our education system. So I'll kick it off to Mike, and then we'll go through everyone else.
Thanks, Lenny. I didn't prepare much of an actual speech to make yet, but I wanted to share some of the reasons why I feel like this is so important to have this committee and to be people that think about these kinds of things. My first my first wish from this group is to learn from the people that have these experiences and the people that have faced some of the adversity in our schools, and see those places where we need to improve. One of the things that I started to learn roughly 3 or 4 years ago, in starting to talk to some community members, two of which are here, Val Pennington and Molly Brown. Just we used to get into really uncomfortable discussions, and Molly would really push me to go further very often with the uncomfortable part of those discussions. And she could see that I was eager to learn, but she could also see that I was avoiding some of the things that were actually happening because of, it just wasn't normalized. It wasn't normalized to talk about Black issues or race issues in general for most people. Sometimes people instantly want to think that they know it all already, and that they have Black friends or relatives that they've already talked with these and talked openly about these situations, and they're comfortable with it. But it's not. There's a growing part of being a white person and starting to accept these kinds of things. Just having the discussion is hard enough, but actually seeing some of your own actions that might be influenced by bias, and accepting those things and changing those things is just so important. One of the things that Lene brought up that I think is just really powerful, that I had never considered before, was that your first introduction, if you're a white kid in school, your first introduction to Black history is that Black people were slaves. And that is exactly how I was introduced. And that's not even close to being correct. There are so many things that we would have to change about that teaching. And I'm sure some of these things, as we'll talk to Dr. Caton, some of these things I know he believes in, and they're probably already much, much better. But I was thinking back to when I was a kid and how just normal that was to hear with no question. And now it's so much easier to find more data, more history, and know more about these things. So first of all, I'd like to thank the people already in my life that have changed my thoughts on this. And I just want to see where we can take that with this group. So I'm here to learn. Thank you.
I'll just go in order as they're on my screen. So Nicole, do you want to go next?
Sure. I am here not only to listen, but also to learn. As a representative of the middle school, high school, we have a diverse population in all the ways that Lene talked about. The number of LGBTQIA students is really high, and kids are feeling more comfortable coming out at younger ages. And so I want to be able to support them as well as supporting kids of color as they navigate through the middle school, high school. I did start a social justice / diversity club with the kids. So I hope that that group and this group can work together hand in hand, and we can kind of involve the kids in some of the things that we do. And then on a personal level, I have children of color, and so I kind of want to learn, what things they're going to face as they continue to go through school. They go to a less diverse district, but what are they going to face as they go?
Thank you. Dr. Caton, you're the next up on my screen if you'd like to go.
Sure. So first, I'm just excited to be at a district that is willing to begin this dialogue and have these conversations. I think so many districts are really afraid to kick the hornet's nest, and I think that's exactly what needs to happen right now, as uncomfortable as it may be. And as we move forward and work towards curricular change, I think that this committee can help lend an important lens to the work of curricular change. I talk about building a core knowledge for our students. And I think that the core knowledge has been greatly limited in the past. And we, as a group, hopefully, this group in particular can help lend to creating what a new core knowledge should be for our students moving forward.
Thank you. Next, we have Jen. Do you have something you want to say?
Oh, I did it where I didn't unmute myself. Sorry. I do this all day with unmute yourself to my students. I'm definitely excited to be here, not only as a board member, but a community member, a teacher in a diverse district as well. I'm more excited to learn from this experience, to hear people's testimonies, stories, and I'm okay with having those uncomfortable conversations. I think they're necessary. I feel that, the more uncomfortableness that I've had, it's the realization of ignorance that I've had, and assuming that, I've been doing the right thing and, mistakenly not. And so again, this is meant to be a learning experience for myself. I feel it's a duty as all of us on the board to make our district the best that it can be for all of our students. And this is a great step in the right direction. And I'm really looking forward to being a part of this group. So thank you for having it and having me a part of it.
Thank you. I'm not sure who Northgate School District is. Is that someone, or is that just a backup?
I think that's Lorraine.
That might be Lorraine, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry, Lene, that's just me because I signed in from our account.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
The next, Mr. Kyle, do you have anything you want to say?
Absolutely. I'm excited to be part of this committee, even though we're on our way out. But it will be nice to be able to help and assist in our final year of, helping the students and the community members in the district realize some of the bias we have, and I'm certainly going to be a good listener throughout. I think that's going to be very important to listen and learn as we go through the process. And I'm excited, and thank you for doing this.
Thank you. Dr. Johns, you're up next.
Hi, everyone. So I'm really, I would say, I think the best word to describe it right now is very grateful.
There's something wrong with your audio. You sound like a robot. Does that sound like that to everyone else?
Yes.
Yes.
All right, let me see if I can figure that out and come back to me.
Okay. So, Dr. Peacock, would you like to speak?
Yeah, I'm excited to be here too, and I'm looking forward to learning the way how I can support all of our students in a better way. And also look forward to being a very good listener. So, thank you.
Mr. Primrose, do you have something you want to?
Yeah, I didn't hear you, Lene. I'm sorry.
Okay, that's all right. It's my computer.
No problem. Hey, I just want to say thank you for the invite. I'm excited to be here. As someone that I grew up in the community and went to Northgate, and as a teacher, now an administrator, to come full circle and now seeing the district look at restorative practices and looking at the bias and having these uncomfortable conversations is great. I think it's going to put our district up to another level. It's great to be here, but like as the others have said, I'm here to learn as well and take as much as this I can to support the community as a whole and our students.
Thank you. Amy?
Hello. I, kind of want to echo what everyone said, but I think the thing that I'm most excited about is just sort of watching the news and seeing what's going on all across the country. It's been really, I've been looking for a way to be part of something and part of a conversation and learn how to talk to my community members about something that might make many of them uncomfortable. So I'm just really excited that we're doing something that has like a chance to really, really impact like systematic changes for our students today, but into the future. So I'm really excited, and I just want to thank you for leading this initiative and having us all here together to get it started.
Lene, is this any better?
Yeah. You sounded really scary there for a minute.
Okay, so wait, it's normal now?
It's
yeah,
normal.
Totally normal.
I was a little panicked. So, all right. Is it okay if I go now? Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. I'm not sure why for some reason it flipped over to the my headset. So anyway, I was saying in my scary voice earlier, I'm just very grateful to have this committee coming together. I've shared with some of you that over the past few years, I've had a number of opportunities to talk to families in our district, and some of the issues that they've raised really started to concern me. And, I've been very forthcoming in saying I didn't really understand the issues. And this past year, I did start to try to educate myself. I still have a long, long way to go. And I think this committee is going to be really instrumental in that. But at the end of the day, I felt concerned. I consider the children of Northgate to be my own children. And I really felt that a number of them were not getting the experience that they need to be truly nurtured and to be able to grow to their potential. And that doesn't sit well with me. So I'm very excited about the work of this committee and am ready to move forward with it. So thank you all for being here and being a part of this.
Thank you. Let me just scroll through my blocks here, see if I've missed anybody.
You sound really far away again, Lene.
I'm just scrolling through my little squares of heads to see who I've missed so far. Christina, did you have something you want to say?
Hello, I'm Christina Garczewski. I'm the Director of Special Services. I service students with disabilities, students who are identified as ESL, K through 12. So I think this is something that's very important to me. I'm excited to be here to listen and to learn, not only as an administrator in the district, but as a parent myself.
Thank you. Christine, do you have something you want to say? Christine, can you hear me? Christine?
Oh, yep. I can hear you. Thanks, Lene. Yeah, I guess the reason I, joined the board back when I did was, mostly I was concerned with the academics for my children and, all other children. And I've been on the education committee. So I think we actually are moving in a great direction with trying to get all kids access to be, college and career ready by removing prerequisites and things like that from courses. But I know we're going to get there with the action steps, but I really think it's important for us to, I feel like, we're going to need a lot of data to look at, make sure the kids are accessing higher level courses and succeeding, not just like putting kids in, but making sure we support them and do that. And I think Mrs. Smith, I read your newsletter today, so I think that's great. I think it would be great to hear from kids and what their experiences are academically and socially at Northgate. So thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else in the administration or board that I've missed that has something they'd like to say? Did I get everybody? Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead. I can't hear you. Can everyone else hear her?
No.
We can't hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Now we can hear you.
Can you hear me now? Okay, sorry. I thought the headsets would be better. I'm sorry, everyone. Anyway, so thank you very much. Just to reiterate what everyone else has stated already. I couldn't agree with all of you more. We do need to really address any underlying systemic differences that there are, so everyone has ample opportunities, as Dr. Johns has indicated, and everyone else. And after 30 years, you know, in the district, and as Brian said, you know, we're kind of like on our way out, but I look forward to working with all of you and educating myself further. So thank you very much again for the invite.
Thank you. Now, is that all of the staff and administration and board members who wish to speak?
I would just like to say
Okay.
thank you for the invite as well. I'm happy to be here to listen and learn and help in any way I can.
Thank you. Now we'll move on to the community. Just introduce yourself. If you have a child and you would like to give us a name and school, that's great. If not, I'll understand. Please speak freely. Just tell us your concerns, what you hope to see in the future, or just anything. It's open mic. We're here to help you make the district a better place. So I'll go through my squares, and it looks like the first one is Val.
All right, can you hear me, guys? All right. All right. Val Pennington, I'm on this committee as a parent of two children of color, as well as being a former coach in the district. I've worked with students that have numerous intersections of race, ethnicity, sexuality, etc. I hope I can offer perspective and be of service. I understand the purpose of this committee is to develop an anti-racism school climate and social equity resolution, as well as the preparation of specific plans to carry out recommendations. In order for this committee to accomplish those items, all members of the committee, as well as those on the larger board, should align with common goals in service of children of color and other marginalized groups in this district. Goals should not include damage control regarding the school board or rehabilitation of one's personal public image or reputation regarding race. I do applaud the formation of this very necessary committee, and I look forward to helping with those goals as much as I can. Thank you.
Thank you. The screen name is Isabel. Did I say that correctly?
Hi, that's actually my daughter's name,
okay.
Isabel. Wendy Lee. My daughter is actually in kindergarten at Bellevue Elementary, and I'm very excited about this committee. I'm a person of color, and you know, I've had experiences where I was the only person of color in school, and I just want to make sure that everyone has a safe experience at school. And I'm also very passionate about diversity, particularly in literacy. I think it's very important to have representation. So glad to be here.
Thank you. The next person is Molly.
Hello. My name is Molly, and I am married to Val Pennington. So I want to start by saying that I really support his statement, and I want to echo a couple of things that Lene said and also Dr. Johns, but especially this business about really supporting and backing up the statements and the testimonies from people of color. As white people, that is something that I really want to represent and help the rest of us do, to listen and also to believe what they say. There is very often this overwhelming tendency to be dismissive or to be completely silent when it comes to the kinds of things that they that they say. And the other thing that I want to offer about this business of it's going to be uncomfortable and it's going to be awkward is yes, and also, so honestly, so what? It's, I mean, social awkwardness or being uncomfortable, it's nothing. It's absolutely nothing compared to what, if you even had a glimpse into the way that something feels or the way that something hurts for a child or for any person of color, any person who's been made vulnerable by the social structures of this country and belongs to what we call a marginalized group. If you could imagine what that was like, feeling kind of awkward is really nothing. So I think I said this to Dr. Johns in an email a while back, that call outs around racism in any form are not something to collapse over or to be horrified by, but I honestly truly think of them as a gift. Okay, they are a gift, because then we're aware of something that we weren't previously aware of, and then we can learn and then we can change. And I really encourage everybody to think about it that way, to not center yourself on your own personal embarrassment, which is really just nothing. It's nothing, and think, okay, now I know better. And so that said, I'm passionate about anti-racism. It's something that I deeply value, and my family is Black, but I am white, and that means that I don't know everything. I don't even know a lot, and that I've got so much to constantly learn, and that a lot of these issues are things that I really can't understand. So I invite all of you also to come to this with an open mind about your ignorance. And lots of people get take issue with the word ignorant, but definitionally, it's just the best one to use. So try to think of it that way too. And the term racist is also, it's not something to be scared of, and it's not even a slur or an insult. It's merely the word that we have to name something as it is. And then that is so vital, because we need to understand that so that we can unpack it and so that we can absolutely change. And it's big and it's overwhelming, but at the same time, this stuff is easy. Okay, open your mind, be willing to take a couple of awkward hits, if you even want to call it that, and stand behind the Black and brown people, all people of color in our community, listen to them and support their voices. So thank you.
Thank you. Emily.
Hi, my name is Emily Kemmerer, and
Emily, your microphone is, you're a robot too.
Okay, wait, I know what the issue is. It's your AirPods. You've got to go into your computer and get it off the AirPod microphone.
Okay, can you hear me now? Sorry, I tried. My name is Emily Kemmerer. I have two daughters at Bellevue Elementary. And I'm just here to listen and learn. And I want to support everything that Val and Molly and Wendy, I believe your name was, have said. And I think that these are the voices that we need to be listening to. So yeah, I won't share anything more than just one tangible thought that I had is I know something really specific right now we're dealing with is devices, getting devices out to our students, especially our elementary students. And I am hearing from the community that there are a lot of kids who have either have a broken device or don't have a device at home, and a large number of these are Black kids. And so I don't really feel knowledgeable enough to speak to what's going on there, but I just know it's something I see and something that we need to troubleshoot and figure out if there's something we can be doing differently. So that's just something specific that I have been noticing, and I'm really glad that this committee was formed and really looking forward to listening and learning. Yeah, so that's all I have.
you. Monica, do you have something you want to say?
I'm not really good with the public speaking. I was like, hope you don't call my square. My name is Monica. I have a daughter, Destiny, who is 15 in the high school. A son, Anthony, who is in the 7th grade in the middle school. I have a foster kid, Nevaeh, who is in Bellevue. And I have a son who is in Avalon Elementary. I'm just excited about the group. I'm excited for the opportunity to be able to change something for the kids. And I'm here to help with whatever. Thank you.
Thank you. I believe the last square is Laura. Laura Schaefer, do you have something you'd like to say? I just want to thank everyone who spoke today. And I understand speaking on your experiences and things with the district can be difficult in front of an audience. And I just want you to know that at any time you can email me with an issue you feel that our group should address, and I will gladly bring it up in committee and we will work towards it. I know a lot of these things are sensitive and sometimes embarrassing. I have a child in 10th grade, and we've had many tears and arguments overnight about me calling the teachers and bringing it up at school. So I get it. So if you would, even anonymously, if you hear someone who has a concern and they're not sure they want to reach out, they can always just drop me a line in the email and just say they want to remain anonymous, but they like to bring something to our attention. You can reach out to Mike or Dr. Johns, really anyone on the board, but specifically us three for the committee, and we would gladly address it in the next meeting. If you know anyone else who's interested, please let them know. I will post the next meeting date. I think we're going to discuss changing it a little bit, right, Dr. Johns? It might be
It
might be a week earlier, but yeah. So just know that we're here, we're open, and we really want as much feedback from the community as possible. Is anybody else, Mike? Anything else as far as the introductions? And Emily, I'll follow up with Dr. Johns. We'll follow up on the device issue if you and we'll get back to you, okay? The next agenda item is the anti-racism, and everyone got a copy of that. Has everyone had a chance to look at it? Now, I know we talked briefly, me and Dr. Johns, specifically on like the paragraph about George Floyd, not to diminish the power of that event, but we did want to make sure it was clear that this committee is not just a reaction or a quick band-aid to that problem, that this is something we had been discussing before that, and we will continue to work on even after the protests aren't on the news anymore. So we just want to make sure that is clear in the resolution. Does anyone else have any feedback on the resolution? Dr. Johns, is there anything, I know you were going to look over it, is there anything that you felt needed to be added, changed, or?
Yeah, I'm thinking at the end, it says list any action steps your district has taken or will take. I really think it's going to be the ongoing work of this committee to determine action steps. So I don't think in the first meeting we're going to have a list of that. So what I could do is come up with wording saying that, you know, the board has committed to this committee. It'll be an ongoing committee, and the committee will make the recommendations for the action steps, and that we'll have regular reporting on that. I can draft that up for that part of it. And then I do have more resources. There's a social equity toolbox that PSBA sent out. So I will share that with everybody. We can take a look at that. There's some ideas in there. But I think what I'd like to do is just get the resolution passed so that we are communicating out our commitment to this. So if you're good with that, I could draft that and have that ready to go for the October committee of the whole meeting.
That sounds fine with me, Mike.
Yeah, that sounds right. I was wondering what the timeline you thought would be good for that. I do feel like we don't really know what those action steps are.
Right.
That's what we're doing now. So
yeah, I think what would be helpful, I mean, one of the things I'd like to do, and I'd like feedback from everyone, community members, board members. I've been through training, as have a number of the administrators, on human-centered design. And I think going through some of those activities to really delve into experiences, understand the issues before just saying, well, we should do this, and spending some time learning, because everybody here has different perspectives, experiences, and I don't know, I speak for myself when I say it would really be valuable to understand that and hopefully guide us to where do we start. I mean, I think there's so many things that this committee is going to be able to do, but the question is, where do we begin? I know, Lene, we've talked a lot about, like, as you talked about normalization, I think that's a place we can definitely begin, but I think there's so many areas that we're going to be working on. So what I'd like to know from all of you is if there's an interest in doing that, but that does really require in person. So it's not something, I mean, we might be able to do that online, but I think that's something we would need to come to the cafeteria. We could certainly make, do mask, keep it socially distanced and everything, but I think size-wise, we're okay. So just feedback on that.
I like that, but my only concern is that, especially when it comes to our students, it's really hard to get those experiences out in public. It can be traumatic, going through the experience and then having to speak on it again with your peers and your parents, and it's just uncomfortable. Like, am I going to lose friends? When you're not the majority in an environment, it's very stressful. You walk a fine line of advocating for yourself and trying to make sure your experience is comfortable and manageable as possible. So I like the idea, but I also don't want to put anyone on the spot, to feel that, sharing an experience that might be very difficult to process. So, I mean, even if we could maybe come up with a way to share, like maybe be a surrogate, if we took in anonymous experiences, it could be relayed through one of the committee members or someone, so those voices get heard and no one is too embarrassed or uncomfortable to share with us.
Yeah, let me explain better. I totally agree with you. I don't want to put anybody in that situation. I'm thinking about, and Molly, I don't mean to put you on the spot, but you're just very knowledgeable, and like I think of Molly and her experiences and the knowledge that she brings to the table, and really being able to drill down into that. But yes, I don't want to, I mean, unless somebody wants to talk about their experience, that would not be something I'd ask people to do. That's going to put them through something again. But understanding everyone's knowledge that they bring to the table on this topic. And it's hard to explain these. So the activities are designed to, for example, like Molly mentioned, unpacking the word racist. So that is an activity that we could use human-centered design to do that and really think about our understandings of it and how it plays out in our school district. So that's kind of the line I'm thinking. And Lene and Mike, I would obviously work with you two. We could plan out what would make sense for the committee.
I think using human-centered design activities to come up with some subcommittees might be a good way to go. Not necessarily to have people reveal their personal, experiences, but to identify some common themes that maybe we need to improve on, whether it's like someone mentioned, representation in literature, or whether it is reaching out to students who, need a safe place to go. Kind of dividing into subcommittees so that maybe we could be in smaller groups and do some of that hard work and then come back together at our committee meetings and kind of report out. I think human-centered design could work to create something like that.
And
Yeah, I think
Nicole,
that's good.
Nicole, do you have students that you think would want to come in on the committee meetings and give some feedback?
Yeah, I have 3 students so far who have signed up. Now, granted, they probably haven't all read the newsletter yet, but there were 3 students who filled out the, I'm sorry, I also have a son who's crying.
It broke my bone.
Okay, I'm sorry, he broke his bone, clearly. I do have 3 students who signed up, and I do think there are a lot of students who would be interested in participating in that. And I think that could be a good subcommittee where the kids meet and then come back and report kind of out to this committee and so on and so forth.
I like that idea. Thank you.
I'm sorry, it was bound to happen that someone would have a catastrophe in the next 5 hours.
I was gonna say, oh, sorry, Molly.
Go.
I was actually gonna say something about Molly. She, whenever she says that we should be okay with with being uncomfortable and just get over it. I love that she says that. I am still not over any of that, and we have talked a billion times about it. So perfectly okay to be uncomfortable, and I'll continue to be uncomfortable. I just want to say that.
I was just going to offer about activities to do with the kids that I know, kind of speaking from the perspective of my children, that sometimes to be singled out is difficult when the topic's going to be about something painful. Like they kind of get pain preloaded onto them. If especially like Martin Luther King Day is sometimes top loaded with tragic things that have happened to Black people, and they kind of have to stand there and learn about it that way. So think about activities or lessons that are really positive representation of people of color, and then think also that you have to do education around whiteness, okay, for the white kids, so that they understand kind of this mindset that they're ensconced in. And so if you have a curriculum that doesn't have any Black authors or any authors of color, and that's just, frankly, about a bunch of white men or something like that, there's still an opportunity to talk about that and to talk about that, the way that organizes their worldview. Because a lot of the problems with racism come from white people just stomping all over everybody and not having any notion that they're doing that. And the other thing that I wanted to just say quickly that relates to people kind of giving testimonies of what happens, and also what Michael said about being like really awkward and uncomfortable, is that I just feel like it's important to say that I felt really offended just at the whole notion of the way that this committee was put together. President Robinson, I wrote to you about some of my concerns and you never responded. And it seems like you loaded this committee with a school board member who's kind of known for being really unaware when it comes to these topics, and actually being really hurtful when it comes to these topics. And the other thing is that my husband did come forward with a story of something that happened that was important, and it was completely ignored and responded to with not only silence, but I would say a kind of violence, in that because of coming forward, he was punished in a way, because this rumor started that he had started litigation. So one thing that I want to say right now, and to Ms. King, will you right now come forward and talk about the litigation? Will you say what you know about what that was to help clear that up, and so that we can talk about, I think, this idea of suing people who talk about racism? Thank you.
Yeah, I guess the only thing I'll say, Molly, about that is, I talked to Dr. Johns about being on this committee, and I stated the reasons that I want to be on this committee. I think I can bring value to it for the reasons I stated before, but I really had hoped that this wasn't going to turn into a request for you or anyone else to try to engage in any kind of struggle session. This isn't the forum for that.
And that's actually not what this is. So I encourage you to not reframe this as a struggle section, and we can stop there. I asked specifically if you would become accountable for the business around litigation and that rumor that started from my husband.
I guess
so. I think if we're not going to do a back and forth or a struggle, let's stop now, and maybe Lene, who's in charge, you can, since we're both committee members, you can direct where you want this to go.
No, the only thing that I do want to say, and I have said this, is that I have offered to speak with you.
Okay, wait, that's not true. That's not true. That's something else that you've repeated a couple of times, and it's fundamentally, emphatically not true. You have not asked. You stated it in a Facebook comment. You stated it, you did not ask.
We can move on then.
So I really appreciated your feedback on the student lessons, and I just want to let everybody know kind of what I was thinking for the student.
Nicole, can I just say something real quick, please?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
It's okay. I think this is an important example of what this committee needs to not be. When you come to this, you cannot dictate how your actions made someone feel. I understand that intentions may not be from a bad place, but if you have hurt someone inadvertently, caused harm or trauma, part of reconciliation is acknowledgement and moving forward. And I mean, for anyone on this committee, if you're not willing to take that step, then this probably isn't the space for you. And you will be holding us back in progress. So, I mean, Christine, I urge you to, a simple apology is the first step in moving forward. I can't fix the problems between you two, but if you're not willing to even take that first step, I'm not sure that this committee is for you. And that's just honesty. I get that you feel you have values that you can bring to the table, but if you can't move past that first step of even acknowledging that you caused harm, whether you meant to or not, regardless of the reasons behind it, then you can't help push forward this agenda of equity and anti-racism and reconciliation. I mean, we don't get to say how other people feel and how they perceived our actions. That's just not, that's something I teach my children every day. I mean, I'm asking you as an adult and a community leader to take that step forward, please.
If you don't mind, I just wanted to say one quick thing myself. I was really going to kind of hold my tongue and not really delve into much of this, and I'm still not. I just want to give a little bit of perspective and say there are definitely justifiable reasons for me to have trepidation about the presence of actually more than one member of this committee, and to feel that their very presence is hostile, to be honest with you. And I have serious doubts concerning the motives of a couple of people in being part of this initiative. And those are based on my own interactions. And I really don't feel that a couple members of this committee can adequately serve at the current time based upon what's happened and things that have been done and things that have not been done. I don't feel that a couple members of this committee can adequately serve as allies to the students of color and the other marginalized groups that this committee would seek to service. So.
We cannot provide a safe place for adults. Imagine how our children feel. And if we want to move forward, there has to be accountability. And I just, do you have anything to say about that? I mean, Christine, or?
I mean, Lene, the only thing I'm going to say, Val and Molly, if you would like to speak to me, we can speak. That's fine. But I think, talk about being uncomfortable. We have to talk about if you're going to say that this is a safe place or this is an inclusive place. I think we have to hear other people, regardless of their color, when they say that their intentions, and you can't just talk about harm, when they say what their intentions are or were, and just to accept somebody calling you a racist or that what you did had these consequences. I think it really bodes poorly for the work of the committee to say that adults can't try to do that. And then, intimating that there's other people that are problematic. I mean, that is very concerning to me.
I'm sorry, go ahead. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, that's all. I mean, the board, I mean, I would have spoken with you, Lene, or Michael, or anyone. And I've tried. So.
Well, I think the problem is that this is a committee and a board, and side conversations don't really create a lot of forward progress. And the focus of this group is for Black, people of color, marginalized groups, not to provide a comfortable space for white people. And as Molly said, being called a racist or saying that your actions were hurtful to someone, that's not a slander. That's just an honest conversation. And I don't think you get the point of the group. I'm just going to be honest, and if we want people to join the committee, if we want people to speak up and ask us to make change, and then we do not acknowledge the concern, the harm, and we pass it off and say, well, that hurts my feelings, we are not going to be effective. And I know this is one personal situation, but this is an excellent example of the hurdles that Black people and other people face when they try to breach these topics, when they try to ask for help or change, and someone says, well, I didn't mean it, and I don't like that. I don't want to talk about it anymore. We're never going to get anywhere if we continue to operate that way. And I'm sorry that that bothers you. And if that's uncomfortable, then I would ask that you not be on the committee. But if we want to move forward and we want the community to step up and help us make these changes, we're all going to have to take some criticism and listen and be accountable, all of us.
Lene, if I could just say one last thing, and then I'm going to shut up for the rest of the evening on this meeting. Ms. King has said that she's asked to speak to me and or my wife privately, but this whole thing stems from Ms. King making very public statements about me a few years ago, long before we had actually ever met or had any interaction whatsoever. And, you know, those type of public statements require public redress, not a private conversation. This isn't something to be hashed out privately. Ms. King did not seek to speak with me privately before she propagated the damaging information that she floated out very publicly against me 3 years ago. She didn't seek to speak with me first before she did that. So I find it a little odd that she wants to take care of it behind closed doors when she didn't seek.
I don't, Val. I mean, I don't. I can see, Val. I don't. I mean, if we had an honest conversation about what happened years ago, it would start with.
Well, I mean, I'm sorry.
Well,
you didn't let me finish. These acts aren't deserving of an opportunity to be minimalized privately.
Right. I don't want to do that any longer. I can see that's not the way to go. I don't. So that's.
Well, yeah, it's not the way to go. It's something that this attitude, and I'm no longer going to make an example out of Christine. She deserves to be able to figure this out herself. But a lot of this type of thing is eventually, I've seen it a couple of times now with friends where somebody does something or says something and then says, "Can you meet me privately and we'll discuss it?" And that in itself is racist. That's a thing that you're gonna publicly be one way and privately be another way, and that has its own issues. This type of thinking also works its way into other things. Whenever we say systemic racism is an issue and the system is built not to be equitable for people, what we're saying is these thoughts permeate everything you do, right? So when you make a decision about anything, there's some tinge of your bias built in there. And so, again, uncomfortable, even though Molly disagrees, these are uncomfortable conversations that are going to be had. And I agree that this group is going to have them. There are things that are going to be said about maybe each of us that might not be favorable at all times. And I'm here willing to accept any of that. My goal is to make the school better. I think we have 3 basic parts to this committee that will eventually work out. One is curriculum, and I know Dr. Caton is on board, so we're ready to go on that part. The social aspect of school is going to be a lot more complicated. That's where we get into some of these stories that might be very sensitive and not, we can't expect everybody to tell them. So we probably should look for some anonymous stories and not ask for a whole lot of facts to back them up. You know, that one of the parts of listening to these stories is going to be not saying, well, did that really happen? Or did you try to talk to somebody? Or, you know, these are things that don't matter. If it happened, it happened, and we're gonna address it. And then the third section is the community aspect of that, and that's how we engage with the rest of the public here. That's how each of us as board members look, and each of us as administrators look to the public. Do we look like we are listening? Do we look like we're learning and willing to change based on the things that we are observing and that we're hearing?
So Michael, I'm sorry, can I just add on something that I learned from the last time that there was this kind of conversation that is uncomfortable. You know, and I was criticized for being a part of a collective group who was quiet. And I feel like I'm doing that again tonight. And it's not due to agreeing with anyone. It's due to that uncomfortableness and not knowing what to say. So I'm hoping in this group I can learn how do I speak up and say, hold on, you know, no, I don't agree with something that someone did or how something was handled, and how do I be an advocate And so I'm hoping, in a group like this is a place to learn how to do that, so that I'm no longer silent on the sidelines.
Just, I apologize. We're going to have to wrap up because I'm now getting text messages for the regular board meeting. I don't know, Lorraine, if you're able to go off of this and open that meeting up.
Well, we can't have two meetings at the same time on
Okay.
the same account.
Okay.
I know we have to go, but I just really wanted to just take a minute because I know, Val, that I didn't intentionally make the statement that I made. As a matter of fact, like never in a million years would I have assumed that people in the community would have thought you were the one bringing litigation to the district. I was actually shocked when you shared that. I just want you to know it wasn't intentional. Like, I'm really, really sorry for that. And I know we have to go, and I don't want it to just seem like, oh, I'm apologizing real quick. I do really want to say that I did not intend for that to happen, and I apologize. And so thank you, Molly and Val, for letting me know how that happened. But I wanted to get that out there because I feel really bad about it. So.
Thank you.
Well, let me just, I guess, wrap it up and say, obviously we have a lot of work to do. Please email me with anything we didn't get to discuss or you feel needs to be addressed further. I really stress for everyone that if you're not ready for these conversations and the accountability, that you just step back from the committee for now. And we are going to change it. Maybe we can navigate a little bit more time for the next meeting so we don't run into this problem. I'll give a follow-up email to everyone so you're kept in the loop. Is there anything else?
That's it. Thanks, Lynn.
Thank you very much.
Thanks,
Okay,
everybody.
I guess. See you in the next meeting. I have enough.